Hello, Raising a Warrior family. We are here today with another Raising a Warrior Meets interview, and we first interviewed this fabulous lady, how many months ago now? Many months ago.
Summer.
And when we interviewed her, we absolutely knew we would be getting her back for a second interview. So very, very warm welcome to Jo Morton-Brown, who has very, very kindly given up her lunch break for us at the moment. She's very busy doing her epic, amazing work in school. So we've managed to clinch a half an hour, lucky us, from the wonderful Jo. Huge advocate for children's mental health, works in an advisory role, in a counselling role, in multiple settings, just really ensuring that your children and young people are listened to, advised, heard, and set on a much, much better path to improved mental health. So just one of life's gems, really. And Jo, we're so pleased to have you back again. So pleased. We loved our interview last time, and so very excited for this one as well. So I'm going to hand over to Naomi for question one. We are steering this interview towards the darker side of parenting. This theme that we're running at the moment, this feature, is I'm not naughty, and so we wanted to pull out the nitty-gritty, the stuff that people don't want to talk about, but Naomi and I do not shy away from tough topics. No. So we want to get into the nitty-gritty. We want to get into the shit. We want to get into the darker side of parenting. We want to hear about the rubbish stuff. So without when
the shit hits the fan, we want to know about it.
We want to know about it. But if we speak about it, anybody listening will go, oh yeah, me too, and then we start a conversation. So I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Naomi for question one.
Right, question one, Jo. What do you feel most judged on as a parent?
Okay, so let's just say that work hat has been taken off. Okay, so we're like, you've just got the real me. Okay, so for me, the hardest thing is having that, like, I'm a working mum, and I don't care what role as a parent you have, whether you're a doctor, whether you work at a supermarket, every single person that works and is a parent, it can be really, really tough. Equally, just to say that for me personally, are you sure you want nitty-gritty?
Oh, we want to go to the real dark side, the real kind of masks off.
Okay. However, sometimes parenting is so tough that actually I feel that me working sometimes compared to those full-time mum and dads, I feel that I have it easier sometimes. So I feel that as hard as it is working and getting ready and having your shit together, as hard as it is, I sometimes think is actually easier than full-time mums and dads, because that constant, always being mum and dad, mummy, daddy, like, I feel that sometimes when I come to work, and I'm really lucky, ladies, that I love my job. I love the counselling. I love the family support work. I love the YouTube. I love everything about it. But it is just so hard to get that balance and that kind of not feeling guilty. So when I'm at work, it's not feeling guilty that I'm not at home, or I'm not there to drop my little boy off, or I'm not there to pick him up from school. So I feel absolutely shit that I'm not like that type of mum. But equally, I feel that those types of mums and dads that are there all the time, like, they must miss, and I know my friends that are full-time mum and dads, they almost miss that sense of identity of where they don't have that place to go to, where they don't have that chill. Like, for me, at least I have the staff room where I can go and I can have a giggle, I can have a chat. And so I just think that balance is just, so it's hard whether you're at home.
It's
Yeah.
funny because the amount of parents I've heard just go, I've gone to work to have a break.
Yeah.
Because it's that mental break. And I say, well, sometimes I feel like my name's being worn out. And it is. You
Yeah.
come to that, Mum, Dad, Mum, you're like, you're really wearing this name out. But actually, behind it, you're like, well, you are still a person. But when your friends speak, it's like, oh, so-and-so's mum and so-and-so's mum or so-and-so's dad. And you're like, actually, that person does have a name and does have an identity. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, I've definitely.
If you can hear that, can I just say that's because kids are up on the corridors when they shouldn't be. So
Busted.
You're the rebels.
I don't blame them.
Oh, brilliant. I know that a lot of people watching this video will relate to that, Jo. Definitely. I've worked with families for 30 years and I have met mums who have been brave enough to admit that.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it's okay. It's absolutely
Of course
okay.
it's okay.
You know what? I just need a time out from being this person.
But we're not designed to be one-dimensional. We're just not designed to be that way. We're not designed to put all of our focus in one single area. It doesn't work. So yeah, good point. All right. Question 2. Which behavior do you find the most challenging to deal with? And obviously we're talking about your son. Because this is a parenting question.
With I'm going to go with Charlie. So he is 7 now.
Yeah.
And I'm also think about my primary school kids as well. So for me, the biggest thing is, and this is, I think, pre-pandemic here, and I think this will be post as well, is how to deal with aggression, that big emotion. And I just see him, I just see Charlie like he's going to explode, bless him. It is like he can feel it and he can't control it. And the biggest thing that I found during lockdown 3 in particular was my older clients, so my secondary school and sixth form kids, they just closed down. So to begin with, we did online counselling and they were fully engaged, and then it was they wouldn't turn their camera on. So as the weeks went by, some of them weren't leaving the house, some of them just wasn't making contact with their friends. So the older ones very much went down. However, my primary school kids and Charlie Brown included just was going whoosh, like absolutely massive. Big emotion in these little bodies. And I think that's what's the hardest thing sometimes, is that they can't manage them. And then to make it even harder, the thing is that you have this sense of where you want to acknowledge what they're feeling. So you want to acknowledge and you want to do that, I can see that you're angry, let's talk about it, and there's part of you that just wants to cuddle them because they are so angry that I can just see that what Charlie needs isn't necessarily kind of a telling off, but is just a hug. And there was one time in the last lockdown where I literally just hugged him. He forced it for a few seconds and then he just crumbled. And the hardest thing is to deal with that emotion without absolutely losing it yourself, because equally we have boundaries as parents, as carers. We have boundaries, and that they are there for them to stick to. But actually it is so hard when all you want to do is lose it, is shout, is scream, is swear, you just want to, and you're just like hold the words, like there is sometimes where you just, for example, trying to get them to eat their dinner. You're going, and then all of a sudden it's just like, do you know what? Fucking starve. Just starve. I can't be bothered. You're going to be hungry later. Just starve. So there's just this dealing with your own emotions whilst they're processing theirs. And obviously during a pandemic, the hardest thing has been for them to process it. It has been for them to process it, not seeing their friends. And I can't begin to imagine how hard it must be for them. Certainly our tweens as well, because you know, certainly them in particular, you know, your particular age group as well, of that kind of, I'd say 9 to 12, I really worry about, because there's that wanting to give them independence, but they can't. They've got nowhere to go. They can't have a bit of money. And, you know, certainly those in year 6, in year 7, okay, here's some money. I'll pick you up at this time. You know, go and have lunch, order your food, you know, go with your friends, grow up, be that mini adult. But they haven't had that. So, yeah. So it's a bit of
a year now, haven't they? When you look at them, they've missed over a year's worth of socialization, of being out and about, but instead they've had like a year's worth of containment. So they're like, they're walking around these little Coke bottles going, who's going to get it today?
You know, at my school, we actually had in September, so September 2020, where the year 7s had just started here. They were playing What's the Time, Mr. Wolf on the playground. Now we're at secondary school. We don't play those games technically at secondary school. But they're year 6. They were finishing off year 6. So you can kind of understand why they were playing it. And luckily for us, we're really lucky because they have their own playground. So quite a few secondary schools will have a year 7 playground. So it was brilliant because we could let them play it. Because that's what they need to do, isn't it? They need to develop and they need to grow up. So there's going to be some really interesting studies in a few years, isn't there?
Huge.
Yeah, there was certainly no rule book that came with the pandemic.
No, not at all.
No rule book. Not at all.
But I do like your team one, because you just sit there going, it's not difficult. Just lift the fork,
eat your dinner
and put it down again. And then it's like, okay, number 3. When do you find parenting the hardest and have to put on your best fake smile?
Okay, so this one, when it's more so when Charlie's at school, and you hear that other kids are getting their pen licenses and other kids are on this level and other kids got great spelling results. And you have to remind yourself, and I've only got one and done. I always say one and done, so then nobody can ever ask me, oh, you're having another one. No, I'm one and done. So quite handy. It saves that awkward conversation of just one. What? One? They almost kind of think to themselves as if that's unacceptable to just have one. So you have to kind of explain it that it is just one and done.
One and done.
So for me, the hardest thing is that academic kind of not comparing. And the thing is, though, I spent so much of my time when Charlie was younger as a baby. Oh my gosh, that child's crawling. Oh my gosh, Charlie's not. Oh my gosh, they've cut a tooth. Oh, Charlie hasn't. Does that mean that he's got a problem with his gums? Like, you think of everything, you know. Oh my gosh, he's not growing. How comes he's, you know, and he's quite diddy, but then I'm 4'11" and Phil's not really tall, so he's not going to be really tall. But it's like, oh my gosh, he's in age 4 to 5 clothes and he's 7. There's this constant comparing your child to other kids. When if I put my work hat on, this is where I can give great advice. I can give it, I just can't tell myself. But you know that each kid's different. You know that they're on their own journey, and that actually, you know, whether they're eating their vegetables at the age of 9 or not, does not mean that they're not going to be an adult not eating vegetables. If they're 3 years old and they can't sleep in their own, you know, in their own room, and they need to be cuddled until they go to sleep, does not mean that they're going to be 13 years old and still need that cuddle. And do you know what I mean? When they go to bed. So it's this kind of realizing to just give yourself as a parent, as a mother, as a father, give yourself a break. Like, it is absolutely bloody knackering. It's so tiring. And this is really funny. I got asked to do a parenting webinar in January, and I had to say, I had to say at that particular time that I was fully booked, because I was just really struggling with working and putting Charlie into school, and places were valuable and you made to feel like your child really wants to come to school. No. Do I really want to put him in school? No. Do I have to? Yeah. And there was this sense of kind of not knowing what was the best for your child or for you. And I just had to turn down doing this parenting webinar because I at that time was not in the right space. That actually what I really wanted to say to them is, can you let me know the time, the date and the speaker, and I'll be there. That's what I really but as a professional, another professional, better not say that. I suppose what I'm saying to you is that actually you just have to be really honest with yourself. And actually, there's this fake smile, and I love it. I've heard fake it till you make it. And as parents, that is what we have to do, knowing that we go through these dips of where it's easy, where it's hard, where our kids are going through easy times, hard times, good times. And that actually what we have to do is we just have to get through it. But I just wish, instead of this comparing, so Charlie really wants his pen license. Well, I'll fucking give him a pen. Do you know, that is what it's like. I'll give you a pen at school, but you can't. And it is just a sense of like, just take a break from comparing. This is what I've learned. Take a break from comparing your child to other people's, because they are on their own journey.
But this is what kind of baffles me, is like parents are put under so much pressure, but it's a self-induced pressure. Does that make sense? And it's just like, whoa, like, just, it's okay. Like, everything, your child is walking, your child is able to eat, like, don't worry. But it's like looking across at the school gates and you can see them all eyeing each other up. Like, if there was a commentary with it, it would be fantastic, because you'd have a comedy show.
Brilliant. It really would be. I'd love to be the commentator of that. I think the biggest thing for me, and I'll never forget this experience, is that as a parent, you have this moment of an opportunity where you should quit whilst you're ahead. So it might be playing a game, it might have been homeschooling, it might be reading getting them to read to you, it might be leaving a friend's house. Even when they're a baby, you have this opportunity, this window of opportunity, which is when you should have stopped or when you should have left. But you didn't. No. You didn't. You kept going. And then there's a massive meltdown. And then you're just like, God, why didn't I stop then? And I'll give you a classic example. During the lockdown, so had to work some days and then homeschool the other days. And one of the activities was to create a poster with items for you to sell in your own shop. So Charlie would create this poster, draw the drawings, write down the items, as well as price them up. So we had a can of Coke that was a tenner, but we'll go with it.
Well.
And this lovely teacher, and I've got to say, his teacher is amazing. She is just an amazing teacher. He also said that you can also create the shop if you want to. So I thought, yeah, I'll do that. I'll create the shop. Why not? That'll be great. But the thing is, ladies, I never created that shop for us to play with, for me and Charlie to play with. I created that shop for the picture, for the teacher.
It's for the parent gold star. Good job, parent.
It honestly, Naomi, it really was. It wasn't for Charlie. It was for me to look good as a parent. And it's at that point that I thought, fucking hell, like, this is wrong. And I think that's the biggest thing about homeschooling. It's just, it was mind-blowing. And the thing is, though, the kids loved being at home. The kids loved being at home, but it was hard to get them in that safe place. at home to do their schoolwork.
Yeah.
And that was a big ask of what we were asking from our teens, tweens, the little ones. Massive
Well, in their
invasion
head,
of them in their life.
exactly. Then in their head, they're like, no, home is family and play, and school is work. School doesn't come home only for homework. Like that was it. It was done.
Yeah.
But what you were saying, like, as I can give you a prescription for one more itis, because as adults we all suffer that disease terribly. It's like, well, we'll just do one more, and we'll just do one more, and the child goes, we don't have one more itis. We're cool. Like, we've done it once, job done.
That shop, and that picture, ladies, looked amazing. Can I just say that picture of that shop? I even did little cards of value, like, and then I just almost felt really sorry for Charlie when I actually realised that shop, like, that shop was for him and me to play, not for the picture. And but it didn't stop me, did it? It didn't stop me from making price tags of.
Oh, Jerry, you're brilliant. Good. I love it. Okay, final question. It's about helicopter parenting. So I watched a very interesting news interview the other morning, and there were two quite extreme viewpoints. One lady who was really criticizing the helicopter parents and saying, you know, you're raising the whole generation of children now very lazy. They have no resilience. They have no independence. And then obviously at the other end of the spectrum, you do have the helicopter parents, which, for anyone who hasn't heard that term, is given to parents who try to oversee every single decision and action that their child makes. This question is not about what kind of parent you are or judgment or anything like that. It is simply to ask, how hard is it to strike a balance between overseeing some of Charlie's decisions, actions, versus also giving him the space to make mistakes and the opportunity to foster some independence? Do you find it hard to strike that balance?
Yes. It's so hard. So I am, hands up, without meaning to, I am a helicopter parent, and I dislike myself for it because Charlie is a sensitive soul, and I used to be sensitive. I am sensitive, and I used to hate that about me, when actually I embrace that now. I'm full of empathy and energy and love, and I embrace it now. But you know, when you're growing up, you know, weak and, you know, a snowball and a snowflake and things like that. Snowball, yeah. I know what I mean.
That's pretty hardy. Like,
well, the thing is that my biggest example and my best example of being a helicopter parent is breakfast time. So when he was around the age of 6 and was trying to encourage him this certain like sense of independence, we get 4-pint milk, and I'm up for him learning to make his own breakfast, but I am not up for a 4-pint of milk to be at the cereal bowl, miss, and go absolutely everywhere. No, I'm not up for that. I am not up. So can you see where I'm coming from with regards to trying to help, but I don't want mess? So I think that there is this sense of actually, if there's a job that needs doing, do it yourself, such as the milk. Yeah. And then it's like trying to get them to make their bed. Now, I used to really struggle with that because I love making beds. Well, no, I don't love making beds. I like seeing a neat bed.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I'm not going to lie to you, even today, I have left the house. Charlie's bed is made. Not to my standard, but for a 7-year-old, it's made. So it is just trying to get that balance. But I think as parents, we are so busy. We are so quick, you know, and there are certain jobs that I insist Charlie does. Like, he has to set the table, he has to unset the table, he has to put his washing away. Now, matter of the fact is that none of the jobs that he does is great.
Yeah.
But it's about him doing it. And
Yeah.
for him to do that means that I need to take a chill pill.
Yeah.
So I think it's really hard, because it's this sense of giving him the independence, but learning as a parent, okay, that bed is not going to be made perfect. And okay, what we've done is we've bought 1 pint of milk.
Oh, yeah.
So I can deal with a pint of milk.
Yeah.
Like that. But there is that sense of and I understand why people do it. I understand why parents do it. And I've got to be honest, the hardest thing about homeschooling was, certainly when you're, you know, a mother of one, or even if you've got a toddler and there's an age difference, is trying to let them know about the work, let them know what the teacher's expecting, and then supposedly go off is really hard when they're like, and then, but what are they asking me to do here? Because they've not got the teacher that was stood there explaining it as a class, where they had their classmate to ask, oh, I don't get it, can you help me? Yep. So actually, I feel that it's really hard during homeschooling for parents not to helicopter their parents.
Yeah.
So it is hard. It is hard, but it learning to understand that it's okay for things not to be perfect.
It's a good point. Very good point.
So you can't help yourself, but like when something's going, you just your hands naturally go up and start to help, and you're like, no, get out. And it's just like, no, let me just help you with that bit.
Yeah.
It's hard though. Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jo,
parenting is hard though.
Parenting is hard. Yeah.
Do you know what? I've got to be honest, I always wanted to be a mum. I always wanted to be a mum. And I remember when I was a little girl, and I'm not going to, I'll be honest, because we're being honest, I went through a stage where I was about, I'm sure for my mum it felt like years and years, but I'm certain it was about 12, 13, 14. That is years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where I was a little cow. I really was. And I feel like I need to text my mum now to apologise, because I really was. I really made her life tough. And I remember us having an argument. And I remember my mum saying to me, you know, there's no manual in how to be a good parent. And it's so true. Now, there are nowadays, isn't there? Because there's loads of manuals, but there really isn't a manual. There isn't a Bible for you to be the type of person that you are, with the type of parent that you want to be.
No.
And to do that. And it is about learning. And it's about learning from your mistakes. And Jesus Christ, I've made some mistakes. So,
but that's the difference. It's a case of going, do you know what? It's all right for parents to make mistakes. And I think if we had that culture, a lot of the judgment, a lot of the competitiveness, a lot of the worry would all disappear, because you just put your hands up and went, yeah, I fucked up with that. Really sorry, guys. Let's try again, and maybe I'll get it right this time.
Yeah. Oh, Jo, right. Zoom is unfortunately about to time us out. And I know that we've completely stolen more of the time that you actually had available. Apologies, there has been a bit of internet freezing. If you're
my gosh, it's really bad. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. So, Jo, massive thank you to you for coming on and giving us such a brilliant, funny, honest, raw, insightful interview. I've absolutely loved it. So
I hope I don't regret this.
No, you know what? There's going to be so many parents that go, oh my goodness, Jo, you have just said what I thought. So you are now the role model of parents just going, you know what? We're just going to start being raw.
Yeah, absolutely.
I normally put all my interviews and like the webinars and things like that. I normally put that all onto my Flourish YouTube channel. Yeah. But I'm not too sure if I'm going to let this one.
That's fine. Don't worry.
Oh, All right, well, massive thank you from us, Jo. So lovely to see you again. Good luck with all of your school counselling and the sort of return to the new normal after this pandemic. But I have no doubt we will see you again soon.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for watching, everybody. Lots of love, big hugs from me and from Naomi, of course. And we will be speaking to you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.